We're at Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a short video today, and what I want to go over is the night I shot and the evidence showing that I wasn't shot with my gun. I think that's probably more important than anything. I think we can all agree that if I wasn't shot with my gun, I was shot with another gun, and if I was shot with another gun, somebody come to my home and shot me. I mean, we all agree with that, right? And what I want you to do is I want you to think, if you're home by yourself or you're home minding your own business and somebody comes sneaking in your home and shoots you, then I think you're going to call that attempted murder, because that's what it is. And I don't blame you, because that's what it is. And so it all depends on, we don't need proof to tunnels. Oh, I haven't seen a picture of a tunnel yet. Well, it doesn't really matter, does it? All we got to know is, was I shot with my gun or was I not shot with my gun? As long as we can prove that, then we have suspects that we can interview and arrest for certain crimes that we know were committed: stolen property, burglary, illegal entries, all that kind of stuff. And then we can proceed forward with the investigation into the capital attempted murder, because that's what that is. I'm home minding my own business. Somebody come to my home and shot me. It all comes down to, was I shot with my gun or not? Okay, and so the title of this video is going to be "How to Get Away with Murder." Yeah, and I've got a lot of evidence laid out on the computer in there, but I want to show you the room that I shot in. What was going on? Of course, I bought this house. Previous young homeowner had just died mysteriously a couple weeks. I think he is murdered now. Okay, I'm living here 2 years. I figure out somebody's breaking my home, repeatedly breaking in my home. It takes another 14 months, calls to the police, the Texas Rangers, FBI, DEA. I mean, I've got crimes, felonies being committed here. Now I believe we know that this home was rigged, is what it was. There's an underground access here. There's tunnels. Multiple people have said that. There's an underground facility. Multiple people have said that. And I'm shot from the ground. But I'm going to show you the proof of that. This video is about, was I shot with my gun or not? Okay. What was going on the night that I shot is I'd come home from grocery shopping. I figured out somebody's in my home again. Remember, it had been going on for months already by this time. And so I was concerned. I had burglar alarms going off. I had my gun out. I had a shotgun, and also had a handgun. And I have the right to protect my life and my property. Obviously, these are dangerous killers. There's no doubt about that now, and we know that for a fact. And so I have every right, just like you have every right, to protect your home and your life. Okay, and I was home minding my own business. Okay, so I'm going through my home. Okay, and this is right here is the back door that goes into the garage. Okay. And this is the utility room. You can see the washer dryer here, and there's not a lot of room here. The shotgun, I brought the stick because the shotgun is actually longer than the stick, so that tells you. And if I touch that wall right there, it tells you, that the shotgun's half the length of that wall, and I can touch this wall, and there it is. That gives you an idea. I'm gonna do that again here, okay? And it comes to about here where the washer dryer, and here it's right here. So it gives you an idea. This room is whatever, 8 by 9 foot, has washer and dryer, cabinet, water heater in here. It's a tiny, tiny little bitty room, okay? And the allegation was that I'm shot with my gun, okay? Well, there's not a lot of room in this little bitty room to be shot with my gun, right? And when I was shot, I was walking to the back door, okay? I had the gun right here. I had put the gun down, and I'm not sure, maybe I laid it up here or wherever I put it, but anyway, I had to unlock the back door, and I fell right here, okay? And I didn't know what happened, because I was shot. Now I know I was shot from under the cabinet, okay? The shot come from under the cabinet. And I fell to the ground, jumped right back up, fell right back down because my leg, my ankle's broke or whatever, been shot. And I see the blood, and I had my cordless phone on me at the time because my cell phone had mysteriously disappeared, and I go to use the phone, and the phone's dead. Okay, they'd cut my phone line. They had stolen my cell phone. They cut my phone lines. That's why I crawled out. I would have called for help. Okay, I was forced to crawl out to save my life. I should have died. I was shot from point blank range. Remember, I'm shot in this little bitty room, right? I'm shot at point blank range. Directly in an artery with my phone lines cut. Okay, and once again, we're going to get back to, was I shot my gun or was I not shot my gun? Okay, and so I didn't know what happened. I was ambushed, you know. I've compared it to Kennedy. He's in a car, he's driving down the street, and his head gets blown off, right? Well, you know, he didn't know where it come from. He didn't see the shooter, right? I mean, he didn't know what happened. I didn't know what happened. I'm walking in the back door. I knew burglar alarms were going off. I knew I was under a home invasion. I knew I'd been calling over and over and over and over again for repeated felonies and burglaries at this home. I mean, that's proven. And so I crawled out, and so when I get back home 10 days later, there's a blood stain right here, okay? Right in front of this cabinet, okay? And so that's pretty much, there wasn't really hardly any blood anywhere, you know. I mean, it was really odd. There's no holes in the walls. It wasn't. It was just, there was this little stain of blood right here, right in front of that cabinet, right where I fell. And that cabinet's been changed out, but the one before it was the same height and depth and all that. We'll see. I'm going to show you a picture of it. But the one before was missing a door. It was missing the kickboard at the bottom, and it was never put together right. And I believe it was a hidden entrance into this home. I believe they could come up from underground and come in this home anytime they wanted, and I didn't know it. Okay, and so I'm gone working all the time, whatever. So they had open access, and that's why the original cabinet. But of course, I just moved in. Nobody would ever think that, right? I mean, who would in the world ever think somebody tunneled into your house? They have a hidden trap door underneath it or whatever. But obviously, that's what it was. And so people have asked, well, did you pull it out? Is there a hole there? Well, I did pull it out. That's how come there's a new cabinet in there, because I pulled the old one out. And I found concrete poured there. Okay, it's not tiled there. And so obviously there's concrete been poured, because I know from the evidence that I was shot from somebody under that cabinet. Okay, and I'm going to show you all that here in a minute. Somebody under the cabinet shot me. That concrete's poured there. Well, when did it get poured? Okay, and I think the answer to that is in the 3 mystery days between when the secret police were caught in my home on January 29th, 2012. I shot on the 28th. And then the 29th, they were caught inside my home accidentally on camera. And then, and the only known official entry by police was on February 1st, 3 days later. So, and when Rosa Rodriguez come to the hospital, asked me to sign a consent search form, pretending that they were going to go to my home and start the investigation. I was up there, I was wondering, why did y'all wait so long? Of course, I had no idea that the police were involved. I had no idea that they'd been in my home, searching drawers, stealing evidence, staging the crime scene, all that. There was no way I'd know that. I was in the hospital. Okay? She had no idea they were caught on camera. Right. So she just pretended, we're going to go over there and just, you here, sign this, we're going to go start it. And I'm wondering why they wait. Why did they wait 3 days? Because they were pouring concrete. That's why they waited 3 days. There's your answer. Okay. So when I pulled that, there was concrete that was poured here. So, but obviously, what we'll know from the evidence that, and I'm going to show you here in a minute, that entrance and exit wounds were 2 inches above ground and they're level. That tells us where the gun was pointed when I shot. Okay, we know if it was up or down, over, whatever. The gun was 2 inches above ground and level. And basically, they're standing underneath the ground, okay, right here, and their gun is laid on top of the ground, and they're waiting for me to walk by, right? And as soon as they're at ground level, as soon as I walk by, they pull the trigger, okay? Directly under an artery from point blank range. That's what happened. And we know that because the entrance and exit is 2 inches above ground. We know I wasn't shot with my gun. And I'm going to show you the evidence of that here in a minute. Okay? And so I wanted to show you this. One important thing, it took a long time to figure out everything was going on because I was ambushed, is direction of shot. Okay? I knew when I shot, I was walking to the back door. Boom, and I fell to the ground. It took me a couple months before I figured out I was shot from the right-hand side here. The entrance room was on this side. And if the entrance room was on this side and the exit wound at the back, then I was shot from this angle. They were under the cabinet. That's how I knew it come from under the cabinet. Because originally, I thought I was shot from the back. Okay? I thought they shot me in the back of the, but that was a game changer when I figured out I was shot from the front. Okay? And I was doing some research, studying on the wounds and bullet wounds and all that stuff, and it's like, wow, I was shot from the front side, and I was walking to the back door, so I knew the shot come from under there. There's absolutely, there's no doubt whatsoever that's where the shot come from. And you look at it, 4-foot long shotgun that they supposedly said I shot with. It wasn't there. I wasn't shot with my gun. That's all there was to it. So I'm gonna take you in there and we're gonna go look at the evidence. I want everybody to know that I did have a shotgun, as I said. This is the last picture of me in my bedroom on my bedroom camera. This camera was disabled 807. It was terminated by the log files. I believe this was done when they took my my cell phone and when they disconnected my home line, and so there was no more pictures of me after that. I believe that was in preparation to murder me, that the camera was disconnected, but you got the last picture of me that I did have a gun. And if you remember on other videos, there was a burglar trapped in that guest bathroom, and so that's a pretty important little fact there, that they've got a criminal that's been breaking my home, committed 5,000 felonies against me, been stealing services from me for over a year, and here I'm my life's threatened, and I got a gun, and they're locked in that bathroom. Okay, and this is another one where I'm showing the stick in that size of that room, and I just showed you on that previous video there. Okay, and so I lined these up, and I want to go through the evidence here, and I also have I pretty much said that already, that I think we can all agree I wasn't shot with my gun, I was shot with another gun, and I want to show you that. I don't want you to take my word for it. Don't believe me. Don't write me and say I believe you. Please do not believe me. I want you to look at the evidence, and I want you to know what happened, and then when you tell somebody, you said somebody come to Buddy's house and they shot him, and it was attempted murder, because that's what happened, because that's what the evidence says. Because if they come to your home and shot you, that's what it is, and they come to my home, that's what it is here too. Okay, repeated burglaries at my home. Okay, I have the police reports. Okay, first police report was done on November 9th, 2010, and I didn't, I called noticed somebody's in my house. I didn't even have any idea about it. Attics, tunnels, any repeated crimes, nothing. I actually thought it was probably some kids from the neighborhood. Nothing was stolen. That's what started it all, and I figured out somebody was breaking in my house. The second one here on this side was January 8, 2011. And one interesting thing, Michael Chandler, the husband of April Chandler, was here on that call. Bradley Alexander, A. Corson, that was some of the names. I was automatically, from the very beginning, called 1096 or crazy. Okay, you'll see that. And here I was, a 27-year company man, never had a felony, moved down here, spent my life savings on the American dream of home, volunteered to lead the United Way drive for my company, had somebody break in my house, and I'm already be set up right here. They're calling me crazy because somebody was in my house. Corson was on this call. He was also on this call, okay? And also Stephen Truex was on the very first call. Okay, and so there was a history of repeated burglaries before I'm shot. I just wanted to lay that out. Called the DEA from 432-209-6494. I don't want you to believe me. I want you to call them and check it. And I not only called the Midland DEA, I called the El Paso DEA and then the Midland. And why did I do that? Because I didn't know there was a Midland DEA. So I called them first. I told them my story, and they're the ones that gave me the number over here to call them. And this was all done from a company cell phone. I could prove this call. So 2 weeks before I'm ambushed and shot, I called the DEA and reported a suspected tunnel, okay? And so somebody at the DEA, specifically the Midland DEA right here, took that call, okay, and very possibly set me up to be murdered, okay, because I was counting on the DEA to do their job, okay, and so it's real possible. At the same time, you see where Gowdy was on the DEA for having underage sex parties and stuff, and that might be a connection, I don't know, but somebody at the DEA, there's proof, check it, don't take my word for it, okay, and that's what happened. Secret police caught inside my home, okay. That's not a what if, could be, might. Oh, but he claims, no, they were caught. They were caught. I come home from the hospital and I find pictures of these police in my home, and the police report shows they're not there. I send these pictures to the police, to the Texas Rangers, to the FBI, to the Attorney General. Nobody will name them, okay? Years go by. I finally nicknamed them the Secret Police. I offered a reward never happened before in the history of America, okay? And 6 years later, a private investigator collects the money and names all 11 of them. These are the 9 inside my home, okay? And the key player, Rosie Rodriguez, she's the only one in both sets of pictures. She's the #1 player. That's a CSI. That's very scary. So every piece of evidence he's ever touched, we have to go back. All court cases that he's ever testified in needs to be, this guy murdered his wife, Chad Simpson, and killed himself, and so on and on and on. Okay, but anyway, don't take my word for it. Here's the police report. Here's the pictures. They're time-stamped security pictures. They tried to disable the camera and accidentally started it, and that's why we know. So, there we go. Size of pellets, okay. This is very, very important, okay? Because if you're, this used every day. Guy shot with a 22 and you're holding a 45, you didn't shoot him, right? I mean, that we all know that. I mean, they use ballistic evidence in court every day, okay? This is the size of pellets that were in my gun, 7.5 right here, okay? And it tells you the size. This is what the lab report removed right here, okay? And so it shows you that, okay? So we know 2.5 sizes different was the pellets from my gun to what was in my lab. So I wasn't shot with my gun. That didn't tell us what I shot with, but it just says that the pellets removed from my foot were not the same as in my gun, so I wasn't shot with my gun. Okay, the other important thing on this picture is the entrance wound is here on the right-hand side. I mentioned that on the other video, and the exit wound's out the back. That tells us the direction of the gun. So we know the gun was 2 inches above ground level, and it was level, okay? And so, that's a fact. And we know I wasn't shot with my gun, so obviously somebody under my home shot me. And I've compared this before. You walk outside, you see snow on the ground, you don't have to see it fall to know where the snow come from. Well, if you're shot from 2 inches above ground, 2 weeks after reporting a suspected tunnel to the DEA, and you wasn't shot with your own gun, you know somebody under your home shot you, okay? I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure that one out, okay? And so I'm going to have all this on a Facebook here in a minute. Tripwire lie, okay? This is brought up before. Here's the tripwire lie. Rosa Rodriguez, she's one of the main secret police. As I told you, she was a childhood friend of the primary beneficiary. She's the one that met me at the 7-Eleven. She's the one that I told that now stolen proof was at my house. And she also the one that testified in court with her childhood friend, the ex-wife, that I was delusional. She testified there was a tripwire she found on my gun, okay? And that was in court. The problem is no tripwire was checked into evidence. There's no pictures of a tripwire. Out of all the other 11 secret police, ain't nobody else mentioned a tripwire by her. And more than that, proof shows I wasn't shot with my gun. Detective Rosa Rodriguez perjured herself in court right there. I wasn't shot with my gun. There was no tripwire. That was a lie that was made up by Rosa Rodriguez and testified in court, perjured herself. Large amount of plastic debris, okay? This comes from the surgeon report, okay? Where did the plastic come from? Here's a surgeon report right here. He said there was a large amount of plastic and lead pellet debris. Okay. Well, I've talked to people extensively about this. Said you wouldn't find that in a shotgun shell. And then you get the people, the excuse makers that are trying to cover up this capital attempted murder, and there's plenty of them. I'm going, oh, wait a minute. There's a shotgun wadding in there. Well, the ER doctor said he removed the shotgun wadding in the emergency room. That's a one piece that follows the pellets in. Here's the whole problem is the evidence shows I wasn't shot with a shotgun. So then something's real fishy about this statement. If I wasn't shot with a shotgun, how could he remove the plastic wadding? Okay. Come to find out, the ER doctor was my brother-in-law that I didn't know about. He was the brother-in-law of the ex-wife I'd filed divorce on 5 days later. And he was up there the night that the x-rays were fake. We'll get to that proof in a minute. But anyways, large amount of plastic, lead pellet debris. The questions ask, where did the plastic come from? It didn't come from a shotgun. It sure didn't come from my shotgun. Okay. I believe we're going to answer that here in a minute. Okay. And shot with 45. Okay. Where are we at? Lisa Rogers on a comment one day. You're not disabled with a 45. Okay. So then the question is, how did she know I was shot with a 45? Okay, and I wondered, maybe she was here. I was told a lot of people were here, as in the underground facility, when I shot, or maybe one of her children were here. One of her sons was here when I was shot, and I think one of her sons is friends with a lot of young people in Hobbs about that age group, in this young age group. And so, anyways, she didn't say a 38 special, right? She didn't say a 22. She didn't say a 44 Magnum. She said a 45. That's very specific size of gun. Well, that actually fits the space limitations. When I showed you in the room in there wasn't enough room for me to be shot with a 4-foot long shotgun in that little bitty room, but I could be shot with a 45 handgun. Okay. But then, where do we explain the pellets? Okay, that's coming up. Okay. The ER doctor. Okay, let's go back and see if we can find the ER doctor. Okay, this is his report, the emergency room. Remember, this is the brother-in-law. I didn't know it was my brother-in-law, the brother-in-law of the ex-wife. Okay, and he writes, right ankle exhibits a through-and-through gunshot wound, which appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. Okay. Two things here. One thing, through and through gunshot wound. That's the exact same thing I said. When I got to the hospital, I had a hole on one side, a hole on the other side. Okay, my foot wasn't blown off, my heel wasn't gone, none of that. And that's important because you're going to see that faked X-ray is missing the heel bone, and it wasn't. It was a through and through gunshot wound. But his interesting wording is which appears to have been sustained by a shotgun blast. And I believe that we're gonna see that the special ammunition was bought to make it appear that I was shot with a shotgun, and that way it would appear to be an accident instead of what it was, which is a premeditated, for-profit, capital attempted murder. Okay, and so appears. Okay, X-rays were faked. Okay, don't take my word for it. Okay, and I got 3 pieces of evidence. I first figured it out at Dr. Glass's office. We took these X-rays, and he puts it up on this glass light box up here, and I put my printed one out, and I'm pointing out to him. I'm going, wait a minute, there's a broken bone missing. There's 4 months before I'm shot. I have X-ray taken of my foot. Okay, and so it shows the broken bone here. But here on this X-ray that we supposedly just took, there was no broken bone. And then remember, see the pellets in it, though. Okay, and so I'm comparing it, and and I question him on it, and he starts stumbling and tries to point the wrong direction, and basically he was busted. He tried to fake X-rays. That was my first clue that X-rays were faked. And then I noticed on the X-rays dated on 1/28, the night I'm shot, right here, has my name on it, has all these shotgun pellets in it, or all these pellets in it. The heel bone's gone. I put that X-ray in from 4 months before to show what your heel bone looks like. That's what my heel bone looked like 4 months before. That's what it looked like when I was shot. Now remember, the ER doctor and me says I was shot with a through-and-through gunshot wound. So somewhere the heel bone's missing. Basically, the heel bone's missing, and I hadn't had surgery yet. This is not my foot. They took somebody else's foot that had been shot with a shotgun, and they put my name on it, okay? And so then that was my second proof that X-rays were faked, okay? So then there was 2 proofs. Well, then I found the timestamps, okay? And then there was absolute positively no doubt about it, okay? Because what happened was the ER doctor, the old brother-in-law, he orders 3-foot X-rays here at 11:37, okay? But this lab tech, user interface, cancels his order and goes, no, we can't fill 3 X-rays, and changes it to 2 X-rays at 11:41. And then he returns the foot X-rays, and they're time-stamped 11:27. Now remember, they wasn't even ordered until 11:37 by the ER doctor, and then they got canceled and reordered by the user interface, and user interface comes back. So the X-rays on the timestamps are before they were even ordered by the ER doctor. So user interface has some questions to answer, because that's where them X-rays got faked right there. And I've already showed you the other examples, so there's no doubt. But then after they did that, I want to show you, these are just various reports on suggestions to amputate my leg. They tried to cut my leg off. They were trying to cover this up over and over and over. This went on 4 months. Even the Rosa Rodriguez, the policeman, mentioned amputation on the police report. And so you see it over and over and over again. Some interesting things found here. An attempt was made to place him because we thought the police department required that he not go home. That was real interesting right there. And there's another one there that I don't show it all the time. But basically, they tried to have me committed, and I got cleared by mental health. So all these people calling me crazy, they don't even know that the doctors cleared me. That was a lie made up to cover up a murder attempt, right? And remember, this is a murder attempt as long as it's proven I wasn't shot with my gun. Okay, so then there's X-rays. Let's add that on to the list, a pile of evidence. Okay, somebody shot 11 days before me. Okay, this might explain whose foot's in the X-rays. Dr. Hinton. Okay, he and this was on April 12th. I did some more X-rays. He did his little deal. He said he compared my X-rays from the 17th to others I'd had taken on the 19th, and he wrote up his little deal, okay? Except I was shot on the 28th, 11 days later, okay? So I believe somebody else was shot 11 days before me with a shotgun, and that's the owner of the foot. I got a feeling. And interesting, Dr. Hinton charged the insurance company for X-rays on the night that we know they're faked. And how do we know they're faked? Because the timestamps are wrong. You know, the question's been asked if Dr. Hinton logged in as user in interface. That's unknown. We don't know that. But okay, now how do we answer all this? Okay, a guy calls me on the phone and tells me about this specialty ammunition called a Glazer Safety Slug Silver. Okay, and the silver, the pellet is almost the same size as the lab reports. It has a plastic tip, and it can be fired from a gun like a .45. Okay, so that meets the space requirements. It explains why Lisa said I was shot with a .45. It explains the size of the pellets, okay? And so it looks, and it makes it appear, like the ER doctor said, appear that I was shot with a shotgun when I wasn't shot with a shotgun. So it looks like the people that shot me used a special ammunition to make it look like I was shot with a shotgun when I wasn't shot with a shotgun, and that takes premeditation, okay? And that didn't get into the why part. I've done videos on the motives. You know, it was the guys trapped here. Was Matt Hyman killed here 2 weeks earlier? Was it because I was tear gassing an attic and reporting crime to law enforcement in the underground facility? Was it because of life insurance money and the home and the theft? There's a lot of reason for motive, but what we know for a fact is I wasn't shot with my gun, and you know what that means? That means capital attempted murder.